Hey everyone, so this is Tart here for some reason, in case you don't know. Um, but we're gonna do a more of a deep dive, comprehensive overview of Naxx and the trash, as well as the boss mechanics. We will not be going over assignments really, because those are subject to change, but we will probably have a little bit of extra time for this overview, so expect it to be about an hour and a half, maybe longer. Um, but we're going to be using the Salad Baker's Run as a reference. So without further ado, let's get started. So for the next Ramus instance, we usually start with the Plague Wing. Um, so for the Plague Wing, these things are just tank and spank. These Plague Slimes hit quite hard. The colors just mean they're immune to certain magics. It's like the opposite of the Worm Guards. Gargoyles, just make sure you kill them when they uh, get to 30%, or else they'll just heal to full. They put a stacking debuff on you. I don't believe it can be dispelled, so you just gotta wait for it to fall off real quick. Um, these plague beasts explode when they die, so melee just don't be around them when they die. All right, so as far as trash goes, plague wing's pretty easy. I would say that um, we could probably kind of zoom forward. So you can see how the gargoyles kind of they'll turn to stone. Well, actually, rather they will turn to stone if you don't kill them in 6 seconds, and they'll heal the full. Again, these are tank and spank. You don't really have to tank the square and star. Range can just open and start bursting those down. Kind of start kiting those back. They just hit really hard. There's no reason to lose our warriors or melee to them. Um, I'm not sure off the top of my head how hard they hit for. But I mean, you see they're being tanked right here. That's how hard they hit for. So we'll kind of zoom forward a little bit. I don't know if this is skippable like this, but you can handle three guardians no problem. Um, or guardians, gargoyles no problem. It just takes a little bit of extra DPS. This is a good time to sapper. So if you pull three, I definitely would sapper here. Um, because if you look at the poison debuff, it can get pretty out of hand if people aren't paying attention or pressing their buttons. So you pull two more packs of the two gargoyles and you move on to Noth. Noth doesn't really hit hard. It's a pretty take and spank boss. Everyone can kind of stack. He puts a debuff, or rather a curse. And if one of them goes undispelled in the time frame before they run out, then it's pretty much a raid wipe, or it's just like a crazy amount of recovery that has to happen. So we have to make sure everyone uses a restorative potion um, when they get the curse on them. But mages and druids will obviously try to decurse to the best of their ability. He also blinks, and it's a complete threat wipe, so it kind of helps if we stack here. If you have the ignite, hopefully the warrior can take it off you. If you have a lip, and you have the ignite, I would highly recommend doing so on the blink, just so you don't die and like lose your world buffs or anything of that sorts. Um, but besides the curse and the blink, I don't really think there's really much else to this fight. It's pretty straightforward. Oh, a little skeletons will spawn, but it's kind of like Fakerus, like healing aggro. We'll just bring him to us, and I would just stay by the warriors, priests, or pallies, whatever, and just let them get blendered off you. So we'll watch this pull real quick. They don't see a phase two. I don't really expect us to see a phase two either. If we by chance do see a phase two, then uh, just in like the four corners of the room, like elite skeleton spawn, they can just be tanked. They don't really hit all too hard. Um, and Noth like teleports away, and then after a while, phase two, he comes back and you kill him. He's got like a little over 1,000,000 health, so there's no reason we should uh, see phase two. So again, you see the blink here. He runs towards the mage. He's gonna kill the mage. Yep, because the mage didn't flip slash bop was put on him. Really falls on like us as mages to put to use flip. So the pallies put pop on you, great, but just be ready to get killed by him for the blink if you have the ignite. So for the tunnel, again, the plague beasts are like the big tubbies. Just don't be around them when they die because they do an explosion. But you can usually just beeline through this. This is like the bug tunnel in AQ or suppression room. It's not as hard as suppression room though. Usually go right across here and you hug that wall. They sit here for a bit. Okay, and you can kind of see that plague beast right there. So they're gonna run over. They're gonna pick them up. And see how it's kind of like tanked away from everyone. So when it dies, it doesn't murder us. Um, we just have to make sure to tank them away. That's just the big thing. So again, they're hugging this right wall. So for Heigen, the main thing is to just um, look at like the dance spots. So uh, the how the fight starts is casters can fight him from the platform, but if you're melee or obviously the tank, you're gonna have to be here, 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 and then here respectively. So like right here, nothing's gonna pop up here, but these other three spots, like these waves will pulsate up, and you'll see it in a second. And then after these three go up, then like Bando, for example, is gonna move him here, and then this one, and then these other two will go up, and we just kind of move them here, and then we go all the way backwards. So if you get teleported to the tunnel, there's like these little mind flay guys. They'll mind flay you, and then it'll slow you. And there's also these little grubbies that'll catch up to you and kill you because you're slowed. I would use a FAPS there. I would actually wait for a FAPS until the first, or rather pot cooldown, until the first wave of three people gets teleported to the hallway because you just don't want to lose your buffs. And again, here's the plague beast here, being tanked away. But you don't want to lose your buffs in the tunnel. You can chill in there for the first dance, but when the second dance happens, um, you have to make it there by the second go around. So because there's two dances, there's one dance that the casters can sit in the middle and DPS with while melee moves him back and forth. But there's also another dance um, that happens, and everyone needs to be there. So here's the fight they pulled him. You see all the casters DPSing from the middle. There's a good chance you also won't see phase 2 here. Oh, and there's a disease that gets put on. I think it's everyone, but we have to prioritize dispelling, taking the disease off of Bando, who's going to be main taking it. So just do that. Because we can't have him die. No one should be getting hit by the waves. If you get hit by the waves, you're probably gonna die. If you survive, you can survive one though potentially, but you will not survive two. So you can tell people are like still in the tunnel. They didn't make it out. No one died in the tunnel. It's very easy to die in the tunnel, by the way. If you get teleported, again, you have to make your way all the way down to the entrance and like wait for the dance to open up on your side to go. So just kill these eye stalks. So they're moving on to Lothib. So what Lothib is it's a pretty much just a DPS race. Lothib has like 6 billion HP. Um, the main thing about Lothib is he spawns these spores like every 12 seconds, and it'll be on our right side. All our DPS, not all our DPS, I'm sorry, 5 of our DPS at a time, and then eventually 5 of our healers once they get it need to go and grab uh, the spores. The spores cannot reach Lothib or will die. Um, so just know we can't let a spore get to Lothib. You can't pop the spore early. Wait till all 5 get really close to the spore and then pop it. When you have the spore, you do 50% increased chance to crit by 50%, and you don't cause any threat. So please just let the tank give Bando just a couple seconds to tank it. Pretty much where he is, and healers can only heal once a minute, once every minute, once every 2 minutes, something like that. The main thing is that we need to stagger our healing. So if everyone just overheals them at the same time, then we're fucked, right? So the main thing with that is there's weak auras and whatnot to track this, but healers like I would heal Bando when he's at like like 70%, and we're just gonna go move down the line, right? You see the spores popping over here. They're picking it up, and they're just kind of wailing them down. You have to pop a GSPP or Greater Shadow Protection Potion before the fight, because what happens on this fight is at 2 minutes and every 30 seconds after, we're going to get hit for 2,500 shadow damage. Um, so you'll have a pre-pot ready for this, and then get ready to pop another one right after, and then you've got Hellstones, you've got Tubers, you've got Crystal Force to heal yourself. So it's just all about DPS race and um, managing our self healing, because healers aren't going to be healing you. If you're melee, you're going to be getting a poison debuff. So just watch that. It doesn't really hit very hard. Don't use like heroism cards or anything like that. Just do as much damage as you can to the boss. You could use poison resistance on the poison if you want. Again, it's like doesn't hit very hard. Um, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just if you're like a paladin or a healer or anything, just stay out of melee range so you don't get the poison. But that's pretty much the fight. It's all just about killing them before you get overwhelmed with the inevitable doom. But just kind of watch the spores and watch the numbers fly up. So I'm gonna speed up a little bit, and we're gonna head off to the spider wing. So the spider wing is um, how would you say? Not really that difficult. I think the last boss, if I was gonna add any commentary on it, I would say here it starts right here. Um, I would say Mixna is just hits really hard, but mechanically all the bosses are pretty straightforward. So there's this trash here. So the trash for the Spider Wing is there's these poisonous skitterers. They each hit like there's an instant poison that hits for nature damage. If you want to like really keep yourself alive, like you know, Greater Nature Protection Potion wouldn't hurt. But we just AoE these down, and then there's three different like big spiders, and they have different names. So like the spinners do like this web pull and yoink you in, and they do a frontal cone nature damage. They need to be uh try and turn them around away from the raid. Think like the snakes and ZG. These Veil of Shadows, it's just a curse. Just decurse this from the other big spider. And then the Venom Stalker, it charges like uh, anyone in nearby range and does like 3 ticks of 2,500 damage. It's a lot. They actually hit pretty hard. We generally want to kill the spinner, then creeper, then the stalker. You can take the venom stalker out of line of sight of the raid, so he doesn't charge. But I'm not sure if this has been proven on classic. So see kind of how they're pulling these. You can have a hunter eat the first web pull, but generally you just kind of AoE these down, cleave them down. Use defensive consumables if you're worried about dying. Again, so they're gonna move to Nubricon. So he's past this doorway here. So what a Nubricon does is you got to kill the Crypt Ghouls first. So it's like him and these two Crypt Guards rather. Uh, just kill them right away. They'll web root you. It's a couple seconds in the fight. You can probably kill them before you get web rooted, but we'll just cleave them on top of a Nubricon, so it won't matter anyways. A Nubricon will be facing um, away from the raid. He doesn't impale. It will target people randomly. Some people say it's based on threat. It's based on second threat. It's just we'll just react to it with what we see. But it's just kind of in like a frontal cone, and it's a lot of physical damage. If I'm a caster and I'm wearing cloth, I would highly consider using a stone shield for this fight, just so you don't get killed by like the little scarabs that come out from killing the crypt guards. Slash, if player dies, they also drop scarabs, so we have to AoE those down. Um, but primarily, back. back this up a little bit. But primarily, kill the Crypt Guard, stack them on Ubercon. If you get the physical damage, it launches you up, and you take fall damage as well. So I would probably just use a Stone Shield to mitigate the physical damage if I'm like a cloth wearer and I'm rolling with like 4K HP. Um, just uh, just word of advice. You can also FAPS on there too, though, if you're worried about getting webbed by the Crypt Guards, but we shouldn't worry about it. What an Ubercon will do after 90 seconds is he'll like stick his ass up in the air and he'll cause this Locust Swarm. It's basically like the Warcraft 3 ultimate for an Ubercon, but what it does is it's 2,500 nature damage every 2 seconds. No one can be around him. You need to be like in the far, like if you're walking in, you need to be on like the far left side of the room while the tank kites him, um, with a hunter giving him pack. But we probably will kill him in under 90 seconds. Again, not a lot of health considered. Probably besides him, Grobulus, and Gothic, the easy boss in here. But we'll watch it. So see how they stack it. They just blended them all down together. You'll see the impale in a second. Hopefully they give us a good impale. So the impale, he turned around. You kind of see the spikes come out of the ground, but it just launches people. People take fall damage and whatnot. Mages, you can like blink as you're coming down and just reduce the fall damage. Or as you're going up too, you can still blink if you're fast enough. It's like Ragnaros. These guys are also in pretty good gear, as you can tell. So I mean, this warrior, these guys have cleared Naxx quite a few times. Um, this guy's got the Hungry Cold and Gressel, so um, I wouldn't really. There's gonna be some time differences, and we won't have DMF obviously, and we're not gonna um, probably not have our world buffs just due to like kind of mental errors and whatnot. But it'd be really great if we can uh, hold our world buffs for you know at least more than a wing. That'd be really nice. So more spiders. There's a lot of trash here. So they bring them in, they AoE them down. I'm not actually gonna watch the trash. Um, if you're watching this guide, you can always speed it up during this point. But I'm actually gonna kind of provide my commentary on the trash, um, because we didn't really have much time to do it during the other reviews. So see how, I mean, they're supposed to kill the Reaver first. Other tanks just kind of pick up the spinners to mitigate damage intake. Um, quite a bit of nature damage also goes out here. It's actually kind of a, um, it's actually kind of a quite a bit of nature damage. But the trash does hit harder on private servers, and the armor values aren't always correct. So um, we're still gonna learn things because we're not gonna be going in there on Tuesday. We'll be going in on Thursday. So there's a couple. Um, we may learn some tips and tricks that maybe there wasn't as much fidelity on private servers compared to classic, which we'll soon find out. Necrostalkers, see they do the charge. They're pretty obnoxious trash. So, like if you're walking in this way, uh, basically like this that little area over there goes towards Makesna, but so there's cultists and there's acolytes. So we're gonna kind of ignore what they do here. They're gonna do some zoomer strat where they go and AoE all the cultists and acolytes, but we actually pull them back to this room, this kind of green room where they're standing. Um, it is actually pretty worthwhile to go over what they do because it can be very punishing if we're not on top of it. So the acolytes do a shadow bolt volley. It hits everyone for like about a K, um, and every pack has a random number of cultists and acolytes. We have to interrupt the volleys. We can take our Lickens with the explosions. It's only 600 damage. If you like really want to, I guess use a GAPP. And then, I mean, I would just use Greater Shadow Protection potions for this trash. I think it's especially the first like two weeks or so, 3 weeks. Um, we want to mitigate damage intake and just maximize uptime on pulls. So really using defensive consumables. I'm going to say this a lot, by the way, so just be ready. But is really going to help that. Um, we generally will kill the acolytes first. The cultists do like an AoE knockback that wipes threat. You can kind of treat it like have them facing the raidish. So if you're like supposed to take them and they are gonna go to the healers behind you, they'll just run right past you. It's like the champions and post twin ups trash. I mean that's how I'm gonna treat them. But either way, they don't have a lot of health. Just interrupt the shadow bolt volleys and burn them down. And you can use sappers and dynamite. It's a good time to use it here. Um, Faralina is actually um, again not a tough fight. So the main thing is we kill two worshippers off the bat, and we're gonna sacrifice one. Basically, making it so she's gonna be, and then we're gonna sacrifice another, and she's gonna go through like over a minute of being silent. So there's not gonna be any mechanics. Like you're not gonna see the poison bolt volley. I believe you won't even see the rain of fire. If you do see rain of fire, don't stand in it. Don't stand in fire. Poison bolt volley, you can use greater nature protection potion, but she's not gonna get in range. And this is what's important because she can really hit the tank really hard. Priests are gonna mind control. Two of the worshippers, we're gonna kill the other two. Um, you can bring the followers to the boss and just blitzkrieg them down, and you can use a GFPP here for rain of fire damage. Kind of does help because it is like 2k every 2 seconds. It's um, it's a fair amount. So but either way, I mean, fairly not a lot of health. Will get killed really fast. We can probably kill her in about a minute, so wouldn't worry too much about it. So again, we're gonna pull all the acolytes and cultists up to this room. I'm just gonna say that again. So what these guys do, I'm just gonna fast forward this. Um, this is, I mean, they're doing something that we're definitely not gonna do. So they do like a bubble pull or, um, yeah. I mean, look at this. Yeah, that's pretty questionable. I mean, look how many people died there. It probably wasn't worth it to be honest. But I don't know. Maybe it was. Probably not though. Um, so they're gonna have to res them. It's gonna take 12 years to res them, and then I'll show you the pull. So they're actually just gonna blow up Skull right off the bat because it's a follower. You just want to kill those really quick because they'll charge random people, and it's really obnoxious. Once the sacrifice happens, you won't see really much boss mechanics from her because she'll be silenced. Okay, so they're moving on to Makesna. Um, Again, a lot of trash between here and Makesna. Kill the big guys first, little guy second. I don't think some of these skips are possible. You can kind of see that frozen rune over there on the wall. That's what they look like. They're obviously not getting it because they probably don't need it. Um, yeah, I know I'm going against grain of what I said, but for my sanity, I'm not gonna watch them do all this trash. This skip is not possible. So you have to actually run out and do these pulls. You cannot do the skip right here. It'll be very detrimental to the raid if you try to do this. Well, So the boss they're going to is like the big queen spider. It's Meixna. Meixna hits pretty hard. She's kind of has that hoo hoo rod mechanic where at 30% or sub 30% she enrages and does a lot of damage. If you're not like wearing a shield and trying to mitigate it with shield blocks, she can actually eat you pretty quick. The main thing is she does a like a web. I get the two mixed up, like the names. It's she does a web spray, which the whole raid's incapacitated. You can't do anything. So we have to always make sure there's an abolish rolling on Bando, and we have to make sure there's hots rolling on Bando. So that impacts like the 8 out of 8 tier 2 stuff. So for the necrotic poison reduces healing by 90%. Again, we have to make sure there's a abolish on there, or Bando is going to die while we're all web sprayed for 10 seconds. Um, I don't believe you can avoid the web spray with bubble. I don't think you can. I don't think a FAPS works. I think you just have to deal with it. There's web wrap, which is every 20 seconds in the fight, and then every 40 seconds, like 3 people get web wrapped to the wall. You'll see it in a second. Um, we're gonna probably have like hunters and warlocks just switch and just kill them really quick. It's a really good job for a hunter to just kill them. Um, and then she'll be facing away from us because of this mechanic. It's just gonna hit Bando for like extra poison damage. And a lot of trash. Too much trash, if you ask me. Yeah, all this is not possible. We have to clear this trash. So we will have plenty of practice. But at 30%, we're probably gonna wait to push it to kill her until after the web wrap. Like unless we've got like like 30 something seconds still left on like web wrap before or web spray. I'm sorry, web spray. We are going to wait to push it because she will. Yeah, she'll eat our tank. Gets turned around. Well, maybe. So there, this is him getting cocooned or web wrapped. So there she is. She gets enraged. They got web wrapped. He shield walls, or else he would definitely die. And even with shield wall, I mean, she still hits very hard. Okay, so they are on to the A bomb wing. Actually, it's what they do first. But so for the abomination wing, there's quite a bit of trash, and there's just quite a bit of trash in the instance in general. Um, these patchwork golems do like a stun and a cleave. It's a lot like the worm guards. Um, so you can stack like you can stack them. On our first go around, we're probably not going to stack them. We'll just split them up um, until we just kind of get comfortable with the healing and everything. There's like belchers. They just do like a poison spray in front of them. Like this. That's what this guy is. Just make sure they're facing away from the raid. Sorry, I know there's gonna be a lot of dead air because it's just me in here. So um, this is usually where people are like asking questions or whatever. So if it just gets really quiet, I'm just probably taking a drink of water, just soaking it all in. Little slimes will also keep spawning. Um, kind of in that grate right there. Globulus like spits them out or poops them out or whatever. So if we do wipe, we do have to kind of like run it together, or else you'll pull slimes. Um, Again, we're just gonna pull these variations of abominations back here. Um, to spread them out. Play it safe. The main things though, as far as like the slimes goes, is there's like a embalming slimes. Um, So it's not these ones. It's not the sewage slimes, but there will be embalming slimes, and they'll just like it says, embalming slime is following you or whatever. Um, you just need to like run away from the raid, um, and range will kill them down. Melee, you can't kill them. Like don't be by them. Don't even test it. Don't kill them. You'll die. They do like it's like 4K a tick or 3K a tick, and it can kill people with world buffs surprisingly fast. So if you see an embalming slime and you're melee, stay away. And I mean, obviously, if you're a range and healer, stay away too. If it's following you, because they don't have like typical threat tables, just start moving and running away from it. Yeah, you saw him kind of like spit those out. And obviously, I mean, he keeps doing this until he's dead. So, yep, they're pulling more abominations in here. And if he spews on you, or he belches on you, that's I think he more sludges will spawn. That may not be correct though. Yeah, so they're about to pull the embalming slimes. I think it's after this. Well, maybe they did. Yeah, so just keep your head on a swivel for the embalming slimes. I swore they just didn't even pull them. Maybe they don't exist on this private server. But yeah. So just be aware. Don't pull patchwork. If you have to clear all this trash for fighting patchwork, or we'll just pull the room. So for this, there's like living monstrosities. Um, well, I guess we'll speed it up just so we can go to this. So the green stuff will just lower your HP by half when the debuff falls off, and then your stats by like 90%. Um, excuse me. So just make sure you top people up with that. So kill these living monstrosities first. They drop a totem. When the totem drops, everyone has to change target priority to the totems. Um, the mad or the sirs mad scientists will heal. You can interrupt those. Um, so please interrupt those and just cleave those down. If you don't, then they'll just heal them. But the totem will actually do a fuckload of damage to everyone. They also fear. So we'll actually look at the trash. So yeah, they do an AoE fear, a chain lightning, and a lightning totem. You have to kill a totem, or the lightning totem will like wipe the raid. Yep, kick these heals. They can also be stunned, and then grenades also interrupt these. You can totally grenade these to interrupt the mind flays. And they're pulling these. They're pulling this pretty quick. Like they're pulling. Um, they're not waiting for some pats and stuff like that. So you may wait a little bit more, but we'll still have a sense of urgency our first time in there. See, like how that guy's patting away. In this scenario, we pull a Bile Retcher or an Abomination. Um, on accident, we would still always kill the monstrosities and the ads with it, and then we move to the Abomination last. That's what I would do. Just keep them away from the raid, or they'll stun the raid. And that's a good recipe to die to the Lightning Totem. not sure if Patrick has this small of a pull range, so maybe be a little bit more careful. So Patchwork is your pretty like your most standard tank and spank fight there is, with the exception of you're gonna need um, at least for our first couple weeks for sure. We're gonna need obviously a main tank, and then we're gonna have three hateful tanks. So how it works is it's not based on stamina. It's based on threat is how he determines the hatefuls. So when he hatefuls you, he gives you a fair amount of threat, and then you'll also fill up your rage bar so you can use that to generate more threat. Melee and range, I mean, just wait a few seconds before starting. Literally wait, like like a solid like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Like wait for those to go off before starting, and then just so we don't get unnecessary hatefuls and whatnot. So they're just logging off because Patchwork patted away. Probably why. So the main thing is we're going to have dedicated healers on the main tank as well as each hateful tank. It's very hard. He hits every zero point 0.8 to 1.2 seconds. He hits for over 2k a hit. So that's not counting crushing. The hatefuls, I believe, ignore defense, but they can be dodged, which is really nice. Don't do what this guy's doing and go in the slimes. That's not something I'd worry about. It's because the only reason why they're doing the slime thing is because it used to only be based on total health. So people would stand in the slimes to lower their stamina. Um, but that doesn't matter because it's actually based on threat. So private servers had it wrong. Pretty long fight. Long-ish fight. He's got quite a bit of health, but I mean, it's really where your DPS can test their metal and like don't pull threat or anything, but I mean, you shouldn't be pulling threat. 5% he enrages, and it's even harder. So but this is it. I mean, it's the fight. So you see the tanks getting chunked, like him right here. He's one of the hatefuls. She's one of the hatefuls. But if he was on top of it, you can actually do it with less hateful tanks. But we're gonna have three off the get-go. But I mean, this is the fight. He'll get big and red in a second. So here's the Frogger. Don't get hit by the slimes. It's pretty embarrassingly bad if you do. So don't. The next boss is Grobulus. Grobulus is considered definitely one of the easier bosses in here. Main thing is just to kind of watch where he's padding in here. It's really easy to body. It's pretty easy to pull him if you're not paying attention. But we got to pull these abominations along the left and right wall here. So usually just take them in a corner. They knock the rate up, and so apparently these things did a little bit more on private servers. So it may not hit as hard, but just be aware. You can pull two at a time, no problem. I think they actually do pull two at a time. Can't talk today. Um, but really nothing to worry about here. Just don't pull Grobulus. See, he goes to the middle, he stands there, and then he turns around, he goes back up the ramp. I'm actually curious if they pull all three here. They do. I mean, it's possible to do it. So the main thing with Grobulus is, and they're going to kill him so fast I won't even have time to go over the mechanics. Well, look at the poison. So if he's facing the raid, he's gonna poison the raid. You should use poison resistance here. If I mean, if you're getting multiple stacks of this, I'd use a poison resistance. It's just gonna help out a lot. But what Grobulus does is he has to just face away from the raid, because the more people he hits, the more these slimes come out. And when the slimes die, they drop like a pool that does like it's like 2k damage a tick, and the pool just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's a DPS race to kill them before the pools get bigger. So those so killing the slimes, those pools get bigger. And the other one is he'll put mutating injection on people. That person needs to run like away from the raid, you know, to Narnia or wherever, and we are gonna have designated dispellers to take the mutating injection off. If you just take the mutating injection while they're in the middle of the raid, it's gonna do 2 plus K damage, and a lot of people aren't gonna even be paying attention, and that's a good raid wipe right there. So please, if unless you are one of the main dispellers, don't even dispel in the fight. Like don't don't dispel in the fight. Do whatever it takes to not dispel unless you are one of the assigned individuals doing it. But besides that, that's it. I mean, it's a tank and spank fight. They're gonna pull him down here at the ramp. It's easier said than done, but really try to not be in front of him. Like do whatever it takes. Like you have healers and stuff have to adjust too. They're doing actually a very bad job here of making sure he's facing away from the raid. Because if he gets the raid with the poison with the slime spray, I mean that's 40 slimes you have to deal with. It's 40 AOE things. I mean it's really rough. So see, the slime dies, and then it leaves a little pool over there. But this is it. I mean, healers, you just have to adjust so you're not standing in front of them. Think like Shadow Flame, right? So the next boss is Gluth. Gluth is like a big zombie dog. He basically we have to run down this tunnel where you take nature damage. Don't fall through the hole in the tunnel. But the main thing about Gluth is um, we need 2 hunters is fine, is like baseline. 3 hunters means you have 100% uptime. But the main thing is we got to trank shot the frenzy. Um, and we he'll put a mortal strike on the tank that'll like stack. It's kind of like Thankress. We can probably just one take this no problem. Um, so I wouldn't worry about that. So there's fears. So he'll do a fear that that will fear within 20 yards. So make sure we keep fear ward on our rogues. Warriors should have answers to it. Um, he'll spawn these things called zombie chows. I mean, this is really what like wipes people is there's a couple ways to kite him. You can have like one mage if he's really really good. Kite them. You can have two mages kite him. That's fine. We can also have a healer kite him. We're probably gonna do two mages off the bat. We're probably not gonna do a piercing howl because we want to kill him as fast as possible. Like I said, a good offense is a good defense. Um, so we gonna kind of take that approach. Um, so for the zombie chow, they come out of these like three grates, and you can't kill them. I mean, they have so much health; it's a waste of time to kill them. The main thing is you just gotta kite them until decimate happens between this time frame. It's like 145 to 215 range, and everyone, including the tanks, besides the boss, gets lower to 5% HP. Um, so the tank has a shield wall, and all the zombies just beeline towards uh, Gluth. The main thing is just heal yourself. Like I would just use like a two birds or something, and uh, and then just sapper the zombies or AoE the zombies because now they're all really low. Because if the zombies do get to him, then it heals him for 5% a pop. Um, honestly, we should be able to zug him down pretty quick. Um, as long as we have the zombies under control, we should be fine. But we'll show the fight. Okay. So you drop down. Please don't fall through the hole. Banner's going to take him to the corner. I think he's going to do back right corner, not this back left one. Um, but we're just, I mean, we're going to do a lot of damage to him. I think there's a good chance we can beat him before the decimate happens. Um, the main thing is just controlling the zombies and having the most uptime on our damage. There is no decimate here because they just kill it too fast. And I mean, they have world buffs, but they've lost a lot of world buffs also by this time. So, I mean, we'll definitely kill it slower, most likely, but um, I don't know how much slower. Hopefully, we still retain some of our world buffs by the time we get here. So for Thaddeus, almost forgot the name of him for a second. Thaddeus, you got to fight his two goons, Fugan and Stalag. What they do is you got to kill them on the platform, so they break the beam. Like if they go down this ramp they're on now, it'll wipe the raid. And so you got to keep them on the platforms, and then they'll throw the tanks, whoever's tanking them, to the other side. They are tauntable. They do like a little knockback, just don't get knocked back like off the platform or anything, but it's not a very far knockback. Um, so yeah, you can just tank them like right here, and everyone will be okay. So hit very hard. They hit for like 2K. So they said stop because you got to kill them both, at the same time. So sorry, one moment. Little distracted here. So for Thaddeus, the main thing is you're gonna get a negative charge or a positive charge. Oh, don't forget to make that jump they just made. I mean, if you miss it, you're just gonna die. So if you get a negative charge, go left. Get a positive charge, go right. You do a lot of damage. He's got like 10 million health or something crazy like that. But I mean, these charges make you do like exponentially more damage. So this guy got positive charge, as you can tell by his buffs. Um, so he's on the right side. As it, right side meaning like if you were looking at Thaddeus when they initially landed. So, and there's going to be a polarity shift. When the polarity shift happens, then you'll run to the other side. If you are on your wrong side, you're going to die. Um, as well as probably killing a few others with you. It basically does like similar damage to like having plague in the defend like the Nubasath defenders and AK-40. Like it does a lot of damage to whatever group you're in. Besides that, it's just following, staying true to the polarity shifts, and not killing your raid. That's pretty much it. When the boss dies, I mean, you can kind of just like don't don't just like loot the boss right away. You're just gonna kill each other because you're gonna still have the polarities on you. By the way, it's kind of like a meme, but um, it's a very real meme that can you can wipe your friendos. See how they just kind of like run away. But after this, the final wing they go to, well, I guess the technically final wing is the Frost Wing, but they're going to go to the Death Knight wing. If we can get to it. So, they already cleared like the first pack like early on, but I'll just go over the trash. So we didn't really go over the trash in the other reviews, but it'll be nice to go over the trash for these. Excuse me. So there's the Death Knights, and then there's the Risen Death Knights. The Death Knights do an intimidating shout where they AoE people. Um, they do a Veil of Darkness, reduces healing by 100%. You can decurse that. Please Fear Ward the tank. It helps a ton. And then they do Raise Dead, where they summon the servants. The Risen ones will like just do threat drops, just taunt them back when they do it. Generally, you do Death Knights first, Risen Death Knight second, and then the Captain's third. You see these in groups. These guys should be taken away. Think of them as like lashers. They just kind of like hit harder. Instead of knocking you away, they knock you down. You can disarm those, by the way, and I think they don't whirlwind um, when you disarm them. It's it kind of primes you for the four horsemen because you can disarm those as well. For these Shades of Naxxramas, they'll spawn Necro Knights, um, I believe, and so you gotta kill the Shades. They do a Shadow Bolt volley. There'll be Necro Knights. Kill those. They do Arcane Explosion. They blink. Not really that much damage goes out. These guys do threat drops. Kill those. Skeletal Smiths. They just like Sunder Armor and do all this nonsense. Just group these up and AoE them down. These things are pretty obnoxious. So you've got Cavaliers. These things put like they have an R around them. It's like a stacking shadow damage debuff. It's like a baby dick version of the Four Horsemen, and they do a cleave to highest threat plus 3 targets. So just I can't remember if it still affects people behind them. The Death Coil, it'll just Death Coil a random person for 900 shadow damage and Horrify for 3 seconds. I would just stack these up. Yep, AoE them down. If DPS is low, you can kill them one by one, but we can just stack these up and AoE them down. Skeletal Siege, really annoying. They trample you, and they randomly intercept Brave members, which drops all threat and stuns the target for 3 seconds. Um, yeah, the trample really, really hurts. So a lot of trash here. But we'll show this room because I haven't really showed this room in any of the other reviews, and kind of like the follow-up process to Vesuvius as well as to Gothic. Yeah, pull these shades back. Just feed them to the blender, just like we've done, in AK40. We know what our DPS can do. Yeah, you can skip some of this. I think, but we're probably gonna clear this room. I mean, they drop mats and whatnot, but these things over here, I guess it's on the sheet. These things are like they're like the little rattle gore ads. They just cleave and I guess hit relatively hard, but it's not too much. If you're melee, I would just use Stone Shield here. Like if you're a melee and stuff cleaves and you're not using a Stone Shield, I mean, I hate to put it this way, it's kind of Darwinism, right? Like you should be using a Stone Shield just because it's a tool you can use. It's a solution to the problem of cleave. So please use Stone Shields. Um, it's just another defensive consumable, kind of on the docket. Another big Death Knight pull. Kill the regular Death Knights, then the Risen, then the Captains. So interestingly enough, they're actually killing the Captains last, even with the Dark Touch Warriors. But Dark Touch Warriors just get zug down. Yeah, if you like double pull or whatever, it's okay. I mean, so they pulled this left pack. Zug them down. Just trying to. I know I said we're gonna watch it, but we don't have to watch him whittle every single mob down to 0. Um, Usually the packs after this we pull up the ramp, which you'll see in a second. You can send the hunter early to pull these up the ramp, which they should be doing. Yeah, you usually get the Cavaliers and you'll pull them up there. So we got Death Coiled, as you can tell. So there's like a stacking debuff. It's like, it looks like Curse of Agony. They pull the other Cavaliers, Death Lords up here. Kill the Lord first. Yep. Then kill the Cavaliers. Okay. Just to minimize time for logistics. So, Resuvius is um, just a fight that kind of comes down to your priests and raid positioning. And basically, what happens is you mind suit the front two so you don't body pull prematurely. But you mind control. So, like, I would mind control X first, and they all move to X, and you can have two warriors kind of pick up the other two. So let's say we did, X would start the fight, and you're gonna tank them kind of like we do with like Fire Maul, right? We use we take advantage of line of sight because of this thing called disrupting shout. If you have a mana bar, disrupting shout will one shot you. Like if we take him right here, like you could easily wipe the raid. Um, so if you are a caster, you have to be kind of where these guys are on the right. You have to be going back and forth because if disrupting shot happens and you're within line of sight of Resuvius, uh, again you'll get one shot. See how they're just losing people. Takes, yeah, like what this guy's doing. I'd sword and board up and I'd just take these understudies that you're not working on. You can tank them just pretty much right next to them. I think they hit like kind of hard, but it's not too bad. The understudies can shield wall, and you have to shield. I'm sorry, you have to heal the understudies, and the priests have to make sure they have one mind controlled constantly. Um, the main thing is, if one understudy dies or it breaks prematurely, you can pop shield wall and taunt Resuvius with a shield wall. But besides that, Resuvius is going to kill you right away. It really just comes down to our priests and how they do the tank positioning and how they kind of like it comes down to the priests and the tanks here. And then casters, if you just don't know how to line of sight, then you're gonna have a bad time. But this is pretty much the fight here. Um, And when these are dead, you gotta still kill the understudies. Actually, nope, the understudies die. Never mind. Oh, maybe the mind control one doesn't. So the next room is a bunch of weapons, like floating weapons. Actually, pretty cool. So these two unholy axes, they whirlwind and do like a mortal strike, which hits really fucking hard. Your main thing with these is to keep them away from the melee. And the holy staff, unholy staff. Make sure you dispel the tank that gets polymorphed, and then the frost nova. Who cares? The arcane explosion for 2.5k damage. Not if there's two of them. I mean, you're gonna hit for 5k. So um, generally, we can unholy axe and unholy swords though. Um, you just kind of want to spread the weapons out a little bit. It says put two tanks on each. Um, Not necessarily sure what they mean by that, but we'll kind of show you like how they do it. Sometimes just like showing you is like infinitely easier than. But like I mean, yeah, they do a whirlwind and whatnot, but it's very manageable. And the weapons are pretty separated. Yeah, whirlwind axe die first. I feel like this is like the real boss because Gothic is so easy. It's um Gothic. I mean, so here's the unholy staff. They're just you kill those first. But so Gothic is probably the easiest boss in here, honestly. Not a lot to talk about. You gotta split the raid in two. There's like a live side and a dead side. Yeah, just be careful about this pad here. Um, well, I guess they're not careful about this pad. There's a lot of damage that's about to go out. So for Gothic, there's a live side and a dead side. So for the live side, whenever you gotta kill like 22 mobs or something like that, or like of each. I don't know the exact count, but basically when you kill something on live, it floats over and goes to dead side, and dead has to kill it again. It's just like a dead version of it. Um, Not really a not a hard fight at all. It's unless like one side is completely world buffed and the other side's not, or and even then like it's not a big deal. And then when Gothic comes out, he like shadow bolts. Excuse me, I'm yawning. He like shadow bolts the raid, and just one at a time hits relatively hard. Um, the main thing about this shadow bolt is yeah, just just deal with it. He's got 400k life, so just zug him down. Probably gonna fast forward through this one a little bit. I mean, it's like 4.5 minutes. But you can like see where they spawn. They like spawn right here on these little things. But again, just plenty of downtime. Gothic comes down. I mean, even the people he shadow bolts, he doesn't even hit that hard. Gates open when he switches. That's it. And yay, more trash. So, Kill the ghouls. You go out. You hug right. Kill more shit. Keep going. You keep going. You pull more stuff. Again, I don't think these skips work according to reports. They don't, at least. And there is an abundance of trash before we get to the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen um, is a very technical fight. Give me a second. I'm actually gonna drink some water before I get started in this one. Okay, so for the Four Horsemen, um, obviously there's four horsemen, and so they each have their own abilities, but the main thing is it's just all about movement and rotations. So this one, Korthas, does a meteor. That's the meteor from um, the defenders and post to Huron trash. So it gets divvied up like it's like an 8 yard range on how much it gets divvied up, and the drop of the meteor, like uh, Korthas can drop it within 20 yards of himself. So this just affects rotations. So if you're on Korthas, if you're part of the group on Cortez, make sure you're stacking close to the or really close to the tank. So Mograine does like a rag fire ability. It's called Righteous Fire, 25% proc weight, 2.3k fire damage, and a debuff that deals 600 fire damage every 8 seconds. Zeliak does the Cthulhu Beam. It's exactly what it is. It's called Holy Wrath, but it just doubles every time it changed, and it changed within 10 yards. It's exactly like Cthulhu. So we want to stack more ranged favored over here. And then for Blamu, or Blamo, she puts void zones out every 10 to 15 seconds. Mainly, you just have to, the tank may have to adjust. You can't obviously tank in a void zone. It is 4k shadow damage per second. If you are in this top section, I would 100% use a greater Shadow Protection Potion. I mean, I would honestly have everyone do a Greater Shadow Protection Potion because the damage, I believe, from the marks is Shadow, so it just helps. And a Greater Fire Protection Potion. If you're melee, yeah, definitely Greater Fire Protection Potion as well. Um, so what we do is we all get here by these pillars, depending on which group you are. So if you are tank, so there's going to be um, 8 tanks total for this rotation. So how it works is there's going to be a group here, 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 here. So that's 4 tanks. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, each mob, I'll just go in this first because this lays the foundation for the rest of the fight. Every mob just puts a stacking, or every four horsemen has their own unique mark they stack on you. And it does 1k damage, 2k, 3k, 4k. So like the fourth mark's 4k, and the fifth mark would be 5k. Basically, by that like fifth mark, you're pretty dead. You're gonna take 5k damage. You're probably gonna die. So every third mark, and I mean, we'll start with the DPS. So if you're every third mark, you're rotating. Is basically what it means. Um, so if I'm on Korthas, so let's say I'm Group One DPS. Um, and I get Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. And then Meteor comes down, you got to wait for Meteor. And then and then the other tank picks it up. We can't switch out until, so like if tank number 2 goes in, we can't switch out till the boss is taunted and tanks pick him up. They're all tauntable, or else the strat would work. Um, and if the tank pops like a fishing reel and it resists, even with the fishing reel, like taunt resists, then you literally have to sit there and wait until taunt comes back up. You're gonna eat an extra mark. You get a mark every 13 seconds. So it is what it is. Sometimes RNG can fuck you on this fight, um, but we play the hand we're dealt. So um, but anyway, so I'm Group One. I get my third mark and I run up here, and then I wait for 3 more marks, and then I run down here. I get 3 more marks, I run back. And um, so basically this would be like Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, move here. Mark 4, Mark 5, Mark 6, move here. Mark 7, Mark 8, Mark 9, move here. Mark 10, Mark 11, Mark 12, move down. Same thing for up here. I'm on Blomio for Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, move here. Mark 4, Mark 5, Mark 6, move here. And then Mark 7, Mark 8, Mark 9, move here. And it's just rinse and repeat. You're kind of going in these triangles. Um, so the main thing is we can't do the swaps until the tanks pick up their respective 4 horsemen. And then you have to watch your marks. You can't go past 4 or 5. And if you're on like Korthas, because the meteor divvies up the damage. So if you leave early before the tank switches, or you're not by, I mean, it's gonna one shot the tank. So this is a unique one where you may actually eat extra marks, and you're gonna probably have to really watch your like maybe GFPP cooldowns and stuff like that. For Mograine and Cortez. We're probably doing Bando and Persbrant on these 2, and then we'll have 2 other of our usually like our stronger geared tanks will probably be rotating as well. Um, so this fight, they can all be disarmed, which does help. But that covers the DPS rotations, and you just kind of have to watch it, and just really get used to the pacing of the fight. It's very steady. I love the fight. It's fun. It's very technical. Um, it looks confusing at first, but when you actually watch the pacing and we break it down, it's not bad. I'll go into the healer positioning as well. So healers are a little different. So we don't want to do full switches, because you do full switches, then you risk the tank having intervals of not being able to be healed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna each healer is gonna be assigned to 3 groups. So there's gonna be 12 healers total. Um, and so 12 healers total. Uh, Sorry if I can do the math. 3 groups, yeah, 3 to 4 in each group, 12 healers total. All right, so sorry, I had a brain fart there. Okay, so let's say healer number 1 is Tim. This is Holy Jim Jones, and this is Nymph. So if you are part of group 1, when that first mark goes out, then if you're part of group 1, um, you switch. And then it's every third mark you're gonna switch. So like mark 1 goes out, Tim would go down here. This healer number 1 would move here. This healer number 1 would move up, and this healer number 1 would go to then where Tim just was. Would move across from Zeliak to Blemieux. Mark number 2 happens. And then Holy Jim would move down, and then this number 2 would move here, this number 2 would move up, and this number 2 would move here. It makes it so we always have like 2 healers in the spot for each, mark rotation. Same thing for like number 3 would move here, 3, 3, 3. So just look at these marks. So when mark 1 happens, um, then you would move down, move down, move down, move down, and then when mark 4 happens, then group 1 would rotate again. So it is every third mark, but we just make this the beginning is just kind of the caveat, I guess you would say, or the exception to the rule. So healers have a different rotation than the DPS and tanks. Tanks are kind of moving like, you start here and you go bump, 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 bump. Healers, you're going like boom, 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 boom. Just really look at this, know where you're going. It's a chain link fence. If one person doesn't know where to go or is in the wrong spot or whatever, everything can, you know, fall apart pretty easily. It's probably the more frustrating things about the fight is it just takes one. I mean, there's a lot of things like you can get beamed on Zeliak, you can leave early on Korthas, and the meteor kills your tank. Just tanks just die in general. You get killed by Void Zone. You have bad taunt resists. It's stuff like that, but that can really kill you. So when they die, so let's say we kill Korthas and Mograine first, um, they come back as ghosts and just like auto attack you. They don't do the meteor anymore. They don't do the righteous fury, but they do put marks out still. So the rotations still don't change between tanks, at least the tanks. Um, so tanks, your rotation will never change going back and forth. Um, for Zeliak, I mean, if you're done DPSing Mograine and Korthas as your melee DPS, I would be very reluctant on DPSing on Zeliak. Like, I mean, you could probably just sit here and just fap off, or just go back and forth between Blumuel. Um, I mean, just don't get more than 3 stacks. You'll be fine. Um, I know it's very long-winded. It's the most technical fight probably in here. So we'll watch a run through in a second. The pull you use the platforms right here. Like these, you kind of line of sight them with the platforms here, or these little skeleton pillars. So like you move up, you move up. Generally, you have like our 4 tanks are ready to pick them up. The Zeliak tank will manually go pick up Zeliak and drag them. Same with Blumuel. I'd probably do the same thing. I would pull these 2 back. Like the other tank could drag them, or I'd have a hunter like pull them back if possible. Um, and yeah, and that's just how you do like the initial pull. And you can have like if you're in the middle initially, you just wait in the middle and then move up. If you're with Zeliak and Blumuel, unless you're like a healer on Zeliak or Blumuel, you would probably just chill in the middle and then move up and then start rotating your spots. But I'll show you it, and it might be a little bit more easier to understand. So they're getting ready for the pull. Could be a little sleepy today. I think they do sit here for a little bit longer. There we go. So they start it. They're actually body pulling this, which is fine. The Zeliak tank just has to be really on top of it. So that was the beam right there. Yep, take him to this little cubbies over here, and you should be fine. So look at his marks. That's 1 mark. Get ready for a second one. So Mark 2 just went out. Mark 2. So he actually holds on to it for a little bit longer, but he can't switch until the other tank kind of relieves him here. So Mark 3 goes out. So everyone's starting to switch. So between now, you have 10 seconds, like or 13 seconds. So the other tank should be relieving him now. So he's actually going to get a 4th mark, which it's fine. It's not ideal, but it's fine. Again, we have casters up here. So he runs over here. They're doing a little bit of a different, like they're not standing. They're not standing like right here. I mean, you can come back here. That's fine too. Doesn't matter. Just don't get killed by random stuff. So Mark 6 just happened. So now he's rotating. And the other tank can leave once that happens. He's actually on this one for a while. He actually, I think, gets up to 6 marks, which is no bueno. It's taking him a while. So this is Mark 10. It's getting a little bad. They're slow. That's the prop. So they might have had a taunt resist or anything. I mean, we don't know. But again, pretty slow on the rotation. Getting 5 is bad. So he's probably going to get 6. Yep, because he's too close. I mean, 6, it's a lot of damage. If he wasn't a tank with a lot of health, he'd be dead. But he just goes back and forth. funny. I like want to be like, does anyone have any questions? But it's just me and you, because I'm so used to people asking overabundant amount of questions for this one. And yeah, like once you just see the fight, it's it's a lot easier to kind of wrap your head around. Yeah, and he's not even going in at this point. Um, just not even worth it. Pretty much like by this time, um, yeah, he's already on the mark. But by that time, like if like they're up, I mean, you probably start popping your, excuse me, I would definitely start popping your greater frost protection potions. Um, because you're gonna ride those pretty religiously. So the thing with Saffron, so Saffron is um pretty much by far and away the most healing intensive fight in the game. Especially for the first couple weeks of Naxx. I would say so the Frost Aura does 600 frost damage every 2 seconds. I'm probably like on myself on Purge Brand, I'm probably gonna bring like 120, 110 unbuffed frost resistance if without having major stat dumps. Um, and probably with like Juju chills and everything else, I'm probably gonna be able to reduce it to I'm hoping like 300. Um, but we'll see. I mean, so I would also pop a greater shadow protection potion for the curse. This is huge. If you don't decurse, it drains the shit out of your life and heals them for a lot. Um, so there's always going to be a frost aura taking. There's a good chance you're taking like 2 to 3 million health per tick, or per tick, 2 to 3 million ray damage before this boss is done. Put in perspective, that's more than entire instance clears. So just be aware. We're probably rolling with 14 healers. It's a very healing intensive fight. So we have usually our range groups split. So we have range here, range here. He's a massive hitbox. You can stand like in front of him ish if you're ranged. You can actually like spread out and stand in front of him. He doesn't do like a frost breath like you would think he would. So you can actually kind of spread out a little bit more if you want. We just kind of do it so the casters are close to the melee and you can use like prayer of healing and whatnot. Um, but just be aware of the range limitations on it. So he claps the main tank. So the main thing he's gonna hit the main tank very hard, paired with Frost Aura, paired with Cleave. The Cleave is very dangerous. So I mean, if you're like Baby Peter's rant and I'm here and I'm a little too close and I cleave, it chain cleaves. So I can cleave myself and I can cleave like everyone and their brother and sister on this side. So you have to be very careful. And there's blizzards coming down and they're moving periodically throughout the fight in phase one. Um, and they deal 3,000, like 4,000 damage every 2 seconds, slows your movement. It just literally it dunks you like the blizzard does. Do not get caught in the blizzard. If you get caught in the blizzard, like, and you're not paying attention, you're probably dead by the time you realize it. So yeah. As far as this fight goes, I mean, you can look at the required resistance stuff. Healer stacking is going to be our approach initially. Um, it may not be valid though by the time a couple weeks down the line. We should be fine. So phase two, he kind of flies up in the air, and we need to really spread out like this. If you're on the spectrum or whatever, you notice this. There's exactly 40 dots here. Um, so there's a somewhere for you to stand for everyone. It's not melee friendly. If you're ranged, this is where it's really nice having a range stack comp here. Um, so he does like this frostbolt, and everyone needs to spread out because it's 10-yard radius, and it can just shit on you guys. It stuns you for 3 seconds, and then it turns you into an ice block. Um, so when you get turned into an ice block, anyone else that's not frozen needs to get behind that ice block quickly, or else you're gonna get hit by frost breath, which is like an ice bomb that comes down. And by the time it reaches the ground, it just one shots anyone not behind the ice block, and then it breaks the person in the ice block is what it does. Um, and that's the fight. So it's just rotating between phase 1 and phase 2. The main thing is stay spread out in phase 2. Uh, hide behind the ice block, ride your GFPPs, maximize your hitbox, and I mean, really, just you gotta heal your ass off. And you gotta decurse the life drain. So it's gonna be tough. It's very doable though. Just everyone take a deep breath and it'll be fine. But we'll show it. These guys have I mean, they're they've been in Naxx for a while. They have all the best frost resistance gear, so it's not really representative. Like the damage intake is not going to be representative of what we're going to see. We're probably going to see a lot more. It's a really aesthetically cool fight. He kind of constructs himself in front of you. He only does this once. It's like a event. Think like Veil or whatever. Like this is if you wipe on this, you just pull him regularly afterwards. But see how they're staying true to their assignments. Again, you can stand in front of Saf. That's okay. Just really look for blizzards. I mean, especially if you're melee, it's really easy to get hit by blizzard if you're melee and just not paying attention, especially the cleave too. Like this guy is very close to the front of the boss. I don't believe his tail does anything. Um, I think you can get behind him, but I would stay to his sides. If you need to rotate sides, but I mean, look at the blizzard. Like the blizzard's ferocious. That's with all the frost resistance they have, by the way. It's clearly like kind of bugging out here. But there's the ice block over there. Ice bomb's about to land. They got 5 seconds to move. Not sure what he's doing. At 10%, he actually doesn't fly up anymore. It's just something to know. This is a bug. Ooh. But that's it. I mean, that's the fight. That's the fight we've all been stressing about. The next fight is really neat. It's KT. So the main thing, KT has 3 phases. For KT, he has like a initial phase where yeah, swap your gear. Don't beat frost. Don't be in of the frost resistant stuff for KT. It's not gonna help you. Um, so everyone's gonna chill in the middle, and range you're gonna kill like the skeletons and the banshees that kind of come at us. And when the A bombs come towards us, that's kind of range or melee's job. See how like they're killing the skeletons and whatnot. Don't like pull more that you don't need to pull. Um, just pull ones that are like coming towards us. It can get really out of hand if people get too horny and just like pull. This is like 5.5 minutes long though. It's quite long, honestly. Um, so we will speed this up a little bit. So what KT does is, I'll go into it while they work on this, is everyone's gonna need to be like so. It's really it's a lot easier for range on this fight than melee. He's immune to frost, surprise, surprise. Just like Saffron, he's immune to frost damage. And these are melee stacks. We're probably having a stack of like three, no more than four per melee stack. He's tanked in the middle. Um, and basically what happens is he will do a frostbolt. These need to be interrupted. If they don't, it's gonna do 10k damage to Bando, and he's probably gonna die. So if you don't interrupt it, then yeah, then we're gonna lose our main tank, and we're probably gonna wipe. So Frostbolt Volley does like 2 to 3.5k damage. Um, Frost damage, you're just gonna have to accept it. Everyone just be spread out. Um, Reduces movement speed. It's fully resistible, apparently, which is kind of nice. I'd use a GF or GFPP also on this one, just helps a lot. Or greater frost protection potion. Change to Kel'Thuzad. He mind controls 5 people at once, makes them all big. Think of like scare him. The only exception is if you're a healer, you will start healing KT for 500%, and they'll buff and heal him. So make sure you CC them right away. Mages, you got to sheep them. Blind them if you're a rogue. Do whatever it takes to incapacitate and sheep them. Um, that's number one priority for casters is to sheep and is this sheep them, blind them, whatever it takes. Um, you can death coil them off the bat, whatever. So um, this ability wipes all threat. So what? So he'll also um, always target someone. Like it'll always target Bando, and then it's gonna wipe all threat. So um, it's gonna require tank switch. So if when this goes on Bando, it's gonna then go on like Persbrand, and then I'm gonna get mind controlled. I'm gonna need to be shept, etc. Gotta blow your fears. Like you have to blow your fears. If you don't blow your fears here, it's not like some other times where we just kind of get mad at you and there's like, you know, not even real consequences, just like social consequences. And this time, like if we get feared, like we're done. Like you have to blow your fears. So for this, just get ready for the tank switch. There's mana detonation. Everyone needs to be over 10 yards apart if you're a mana user. So it'll just chain and like kill people. So just be over 10 yards apart. If you don't know what that means by now, I'm not sure to tell you. Shadow Fissure, this big like kind of swirly thing happens under you. You have 3 seconds to move out, or you get one shot. If you are a melee, and this happens, just back up. Just back up. Don't move left or don't move left. Don't move right, because of the next thing. Because like if you move left and right after Shadow Fissure, you go oh shit, and like you move left and right, then this can happen. So Frost Blast, 30-second cooldown. It ice blocks you and anyone within 10 yards, and you take like 130% of your maximum HP and over damage in over 5 seconds. So if you do that, like, and if you're a melee and you like, then we have 8 melee, right, or 6 melee that get hit by it. We're definitely losing people. Um, because 5 seconds is basically if you're not healed, like yeah, within 4 seconds you're gonna die. It is frost damage, I think, but um, either way, it takes pretty snap reactions from our healers to manage it. Again, they're still on this part while I'm going over this, but that's all the mechanics for this. So we'll kind of take a gander at it. So KT gets pulled. You watch him kind of get in position here. So it gets the tank. Actually, got 2 tanks. They're going to readjust. You at least know when these mechanics are coming out. So we know when Frost Blast is coming out. Generally, we have the tank stand by himself, so the tank doesn't also get Frost Blasted. I guess that's the other thing we actually did mention is we'll have Bando by himself. At 40%, he spawns these like a Nubricon looking guys, Crypt Guardians. Shackle three of them, like they're doing now. You can only shackle three. The other two just have to be tanks, so like myself and like Trombone will pick up the other two. And just keep bursting KT down. It's if you shackle like four of them or five of them, he'll break all the shackles, and it just turns things into kind of like pure chaos. Even then, it's like pretty chaotic. I mean, it's the end of the fight. It's a DPS race at the end of the fight. Then they all run away when it's over. But that, ladies and gentlemen, was Naxx Ramus. So hopefully we went over everything. Um, I would say if you have any other questions, comments, or concerns, or anything pertaining to assignments will be posted for everyone to see. Um, thanks for taking the time and watching this guide. I know it's not easy to take time out these days around the holidays, and looking forward to seeing you guys in there. And have a good rest of your day. Take care.